Welcome back, everyone, to our last match of the day over here in Hearthstone Grandmasters European region. We do have the Americas to follow up after us, of course, so if you want even more Hearthstone today, you got it a little bit later on with TJ and Frodan. But for now, we do have our final match, Xbyzes versus Felkeine and Sottle. I have great news. We are not going to be kicking off with a Priest Mirror unless I'm being trolled. And if I am being trolled, I will just leave right now. So you're playing a scary game if anyone wants to start that one. But I do believe it is going to be Mage versus Priest to kick off our game number one.
And never before in the history of Hearthstone casting have we been more biased in rooting for this Priest to lose so it's out of the series and we can't get another Priest Mirror Raven. That's right, I said it. I'm pulling back the curtain. I hope this Priest gets dumpstered.
The best thing is, I'm not even sure if Sol knows who the Priest is, so it's kind
not
of
a clue.
biased,
no
biased
idea.
Unbiased at the same time. He doesn't even know who's going to be playing it in game number one. But both these players bringing I didn't have the right deck list open. Very similar, if not exactly the same lineups here for the two French players. And one thing I can also not miss, but take a good guess at is the speed of play. Might be a little bit quicker than we've been used to today, and maybe this weekend with our all-star time takers of Bunny Hopper and Yala. They're already gone. We'll see them tomorrow. But so far, Felkeine and xBlyzes pretty fast. I'd put them on the fast side of the play as opposed to the slower side.
Yeah, agreed. And it looks like it is going to be Felkeine kicking us off on the Priest, whereas it's going to be xBlyzes on the Mage side. And it's actually really interesting to me watching xBlyzes play Mage overall, because he does seem to take the kind of misnomer name quite literally of Tempo Mage. He does seem to be the most tempo-focused player with the deck that I've seen so far. Very, very willing just to drop minions on curve, play early apprentices, drop Shambhala, just straight out there for no value. Wasn't even playing the Conjurer's Calling in his list in the initial week, which I think speaks to that as well, where he's like, I don't want to play these combo cards, I just want to curve out with minions and hit people. So it does seem like that's a big part of his philosophy, and whether we've just seen maybe an above average type of draw where that could be dictated from xBlyzes, because that is kind of the skill of playing Mage, is like, look at your hand, what does this hand tell me to do?
Right.
And sometimes with the deck, your hand does tell you to play tempo. And, maybe that's the case. We've just been seeing xBlyzes have those number of hands more often than not. It's really kind of difficult to get your teeth sunk into really analyzing a xBlyzes series, because I don't get enough time to look at his hand to make good decisions. I don't know how he manages to do it. But, up until now, it does really seem like he's been super tempo focused with this Mage, which I think, could honestly pay out pretty well against Priest potentially.
And I do think a large part of that is the case with a lot of decks right now is people are still exploring. Scholomance is such an intricate expansion to actually try and break down, even 2 weeks in, or just over 2 weeks in, I guess. I don't think anyone has got, I have completed this deck, I have unlocked all the achievements, you know what I mean? Like, and know exactly how to play in each of these situations. I still think there's a lot to explore with a lot of these decks here. But this is a big opportunity for Felkeine as we go into our game number one for multiple reasons. One, he has recovered from the issues he had a little bit early on in the day in his last couple of games where he did take a loss. He played pretty well versus Tyson, took the win. But also, is a few more benefits. One, books him into tomorrow if he takes this win over xBlyzes. But two, it makes us talk about someone who's French that isn't xBlyzes, which I'm sure maybe even some of the other French players might want some of that spotlight for themselves in the near future.
Yeah, and I'm happy for him to win the series. I think he would be a great addition to our top four again, and I would be very happy to talk about some of the other French players that we have and get the spotlight over xBlyzes. I think that's absolutely the case as well, where xBlyzes has had the lion's share of attention so far because he's been the player that's winning. So absolutely, long term, sure, go ahead and take this series. But boy, I hope he loses this game. Look at this hand. Nothing in there. No Zephyrus. Who are you? Forget about it.
I'd love it if it was just Zephyrus off the top. As you said, no Zephyrus. Zephyrus was like, that's what you think. But yeah, no ramp is one of the rarities of the day for us viewing Priest so far. And also, pretty big deal looking at the rest of Felkeine's hand. Ramp might have been actually what he needed here.
Yeah, very true indeed. Right now, there is just infinite tempo coming through the other way here and no real answer. Cram Session will be the dream here, doesn't find it. Conjurer's Calling is a pretty high value pickup for the matchup though.
Yeah, and it does mean that xBlyzes can be a little bit more loose with one of them, and maybe not, just go for always Conjurer's Coin a giant. He can just Conjurer's Coin something a bit more mid-range and just to create some more board presence if he so needs.
Yeah.
Speaking of giants, though, there we go. There's one.
This is so much damage stacking up.
Yeah, and there's a Conjurer's. I was wondering whether he was going to go for the Firebrand, but I like this Conjurer's.
Hello?
Okay, wait. Did you just do the voice for Felkeine then? Because your voice and his reaction matched up perfectly. I was going to say, I like the Conjurers on the Solarian because it kills it and gets it in xBlyzes' deck, right? Stops it being stolen, silenced, killed, XYZ. But, just Conjurers, shuffle one in and get another one, then yeah, okay.
Also,
it must be called xBlyzes.
Did xBlyzes just scratch his head, or was that a temple tap? Because if that was a temple tap, xBlyzes is now confirmed as my all-time favourite player.
Let's just pretend it was. Okay, no, definitely unhappy to see that second Solarian and have no way to mess with it, no way to steal or negate its effect. So, double prime in xBlyzes' deck, and we've seen what xBlyzes can do with that card already today.
Yeah, this is a extremely irritating board state on the other side, though. Luckily, it does have Firebrand to be able to clear it up and drop the ping afterward as well.
I thought he was going to go coin Conjurers.
Well, he needs to ping, right, to take care of the reborn?
Yeah. If he wants to clear it up, you never know, xBlyzes, Sol. That looks like it could have been two bigger minions on the board than this 2-2.
There is that Zephyrus now. Does still have that raised dead from the opening hand available as well, so shenanigans are very possible here.
Does have Crimson Hothead as well. It's a reasonably high health minion to just drop in the way and hope to stick around versus Mage.
True mastery takes dedication.
Plays the cards as they're drawn. I love it. A little bit harder to cast, I'll be honest, but it's still fun. The Mana Giant into Conjurers now does exist in a post-Galakron world for xBlyzes next turn as well. There is Zephyrus and there is Shadowwood Rune available, but with the Giant and that many Conjurings, he does still have another Giant in his deck somewhere to try and go again.
In a post-Galakron world, 2 Frenchmen, 1 Mana Giant, 3 Conjurers' Callings.
18 priest removal options.
Yep.
Something very interesting seeing Zephyrus played in Priest versus, maybe we all got very used to it seeing being played in Highlander Hunter and Mage. So it is unique in which it's just almost always played for just any removal that you may need. Or ramp, of course. Yeah,
exactly. You say that, but we've just been seeing Ramp Priest every game, all day. That's just all we've had, time after time after time.
Oh, that's a song.
Nah, unlucky. Where's your second Zephyrus now, Felkeine? Huh?
Sol really was serious when he's going to be heavily biased towards
Dude, people are tuning in now and missed the context of why I'm biased. Yeah,
there's going to be complaints.
Yeah.
Bet they're all priest players.
You fight me, you get burned.
Firebrand. He's going to come down here along with the Giant and the Conjurers, so Firebrand going to be able to pump a ton of damage into this board, but is it going to be enough? And suddenly, those are some weird pulls. Not really that great, but they do just almost like limbo underneath the Shadowwood Ruin.
Yeah,
which is
interesting, right?
I'm trying to work out whether that's good or bad.
Yeah. I mean, this is already kind of cute. Mademoiselle discovers a card from the opponent's hand, which will then get discounted by 1. Because of the Dwarven Archaeologist that's in play.
Right. Conjurers looks tempting with Tiamat. It does mean he can't use it to trade unless he goes for Mass Dispel as well. which again isn't bad. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering whether Felkeine, in a weird way, just wants this 4-8 to stay on the board dormant for Blaze. It's just -1 board space realistically for the rest of the game.
Yeah, unless Blaze can like get back on the 8-drop train with the Conjurer's Calling and find himself a Walking Fountain or something like that. Yeah, it's pretty unlikely that's ever going to come to fruition. Well,
Okay, round 2.
I think you're already too far down the Cyclone path, though. Oh, you can do everything, actually, right? Yeah, you can do everything -1 Ray of Frost. Yeah, seems good. That's more like it.
Problem here is, though, there is Mass Dispel and then Shadow Word Ruin to deal with the 2 threats and not even have to worry about the Death Rattle. But maybe now, actually, is Soul Mirror actually good? Because he gets the lifesteal minion from the Death Rattle. Not straight away, but it exists.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely good. Whether or not it's better than how good Shadow Word Horror is... sorry, Shadow Word Ruin is here. I think the dream is slowly dying, Raven. We're going to need some God Primes.
Good that he had the Shadow Word Death, because otherwise this 4-8 could be summoned back again.
Yep.
Although the healing wouldn't go off, actually, right? So it wouldn't work.
No.
I am only more deadly.
Yeah, this is how you used to play around Lucent Park Druid. You just never dealt any damage to them and their whole deck just fell over.
Yeah. Definitely unfortunate here for Blythe that Felkeine has, or will have, this 5 heal, at least, this turn. Well, I will say...
No.
Oh, no, with Vape, sorry. Yep, Vaporize is the secret, so pretty solid, actually. And although we're saying that Blythe is looking at a rough spot, he does have those 2 primes, right? So...
Yep.
There's always a chance.
But, I mean... yeah. He does have 2 primes, but he is going to need 1-day delivery on those primes. Like, he needs them right now.
Okay, that was good.
Thank you.
I'll give you that one. I don't normally verbally, agree with the quality of your jokes, Sol, but I will this time. Not looking too great, actually, minion-wise, or dragon-wise, specifically from the Alex Straza there for Felkeine. It's I don't really want to say slow, because he's still putting a ton of stats on the board, but
Yeah.
nothing game-breaking or game-winning,
Wait,
right?
what? Hang on. He drew Astromancer Solarian. What on earth?
Wait a minute.
So there are now 3
discovered the
primes in
first
his
one,
deck.
yeah,
He discovered the first one, yeah, from studies.
I was just staring at it going, I don't remember discovering the first one, but he just must have.
Yeah. No, he genuinely did. Like, I was going to make this joke, but, like, as I was logging into the Spectator, Felkaine's Mulligan was still on my screen when Blythe played that spell damage studies at the start of the like, literally, he managed to start playing the game before Felkeine had Mulligan somehow on my screen. It was ridiculous.
Big 9 drops coming down for Felkeine, and...
No! I thought we fixed this! Disaster, Raven!
Can I put a new request in to the team? Can we get this just removed? Oh, no.
Wait.
Oh, no.
Wait, what's happened? He gets a turn, right? Yeah, okay, he gets a turn.
Yeah, it's just the fact that I guess if there's anyone that can pull this turn off, it's Blythe, but it's a 10-card evocation with Nozdormu ticking down. Worst case scenario.
It's fine. This is Blythe mode. He's going to nail this. Easy.
He's just locked in and put his feet up. He's done.
You dare try and test me, says Blythe?
But no, you have your Nozdormu. Did get rid of the lifesteal though, which is a big deal. Felkeine is only on 12. He didn't actually utilize the healing from that so much at all.
Interesting Spellbender interaction. I suppose he does still summon the 1/1 copy. Ideally not what he was going for, yeah. Felkaine's Nosdormu turn. Felkaine's Nosdormu turn not anywhere near as successful as xBlyzes was.
xBlyzes turned the power of Nosdormu against Felkeine, but it just does not matter. There was no prime drawn off the top, which was pretty much exactly what xBlyzes needed. A really good effort there, under a lot of pressure with a huge card for the evocation. Felkeine, as you could see, just couldn't quite keep up with the Nosdormu on his side, but it did not matter. He's going to take the win with the Priest. And Sottle, we have to believe that xBlyzes is going to rock this Druid, right? This Priest, we put another little X against the Priest and just pretend that xBlyzes just doesn't get to queue it into the mirror match.
Yeah, we will see. I mean, 100% biased casting over. Felkeine did pick up the victory there. xBlyzes, unluckiest Hearthstone player you've ever seen in your life. Like, can you believe it? 3 entire primes in his deck, and he couldn't dig one out. But now he has very quickly gone from my favorite player to my least favorite player, as he has chosen now to queue the Priest mirror again. And we are back here once again, Raven.
Yep, and if you've not been watching all day, I guess this might be your first Priest mirror, but it's definitely not ours, as I think we've gone like, what, 4 out of 5 matches or something have had Priest mirrors in them?
No, they do take hours.
Hey, I get it. But most importantly, we are going to see if there is the opening of the Zephyrus into Wild Growth available for these players.
Full maul from xBlyzes. Felkeine at least holds on to his Disciple here, and not a Zephyrus in sight so far, at least.
Thy blood be born again.
That's a pretty good curve to be getting on with.
It is. Neither player has Zephyrus yet, so we're not going to see the huge ramp from either side, but that does just keep everything even, actually, for them, so no one's going to run away from it so far. If Felkeine takes this, though, put him in a great spot to progress to tomorrow.
It is, yeah.
Point into Volterra, getting that raised dead means he can just cycle even more value if he wants to proc it in the short term.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, again, as we've been saying all day, like, this matchup does feel so crucial, because you can kind of see the dynamic, right? Is whenever you feel like, okay, damn, I lost against Priest, what's my best response? Priest mirror. That's not a good spot to be in, right? That kind of dictates that mirror match is then all powerful and all crucial, because if this was your best option and you lost it, you're in trouble.
It's also one of the unique outcomes from Last Hero Standing in a meta where, let's just say, there are 2 amazing decks and everything else, right? Because you can't ban 2 decks, you have to choose one, which most people have been choosing Warrior. And then that means, well, if there's one deck that just is so powerful, it can sweep lineups, then this is what we're going to see. Maybe it's just a little bit unfortunate that deck is Priest and not like Zoo or something. But yeah, that is what's going to happen. It is going to come down to just, can you take down that one problem deck and then just deal with the rest of the opponent's lineup? And it seemingly has just been coming down to this, at least in Europe, over the course of this weekend.
Yeah.
This timeline.
But once again, is this a factor by or a result of all the players we've been casting today aren't playing the aggressive forms of Rogue, which I think can take Priest apart quite well?
There's certainly a gap for it in the lineups that we've seen, with basically everyone except Tice not choosing to pay attention to weapons after they're banning Warrior, and Tice being in this kind of weird vortex where he changed his mind mid-tournament. So yeah, I think there is a window that maybe, aggressive Rogue could have got through, weapon Rogue could have got through. But I do think that, like, that's something that you can have checked as well. Like, honestly, just Priest with double weapon destruction, I think, does totally fine in that matchup as well. We've seen Rogues get absolutely torn apart in that matchup just by early Ooze or early Kobold Sticky Finger coming down and landing. So
it's true.
I do understand the fear of Rogue because, the fear to bring Rogue, because you feel like it's just going to get caught up in that weapon destruction crossfire that people might have for Warrior, and the same deal with Demon Hunter. But yeah, I mean, after its performance in APAC so far, Rogue has impressed me a little bit up to this point, and maybe is just a little bit underrepresented in what we're seeing.
And that was my expectation to see more Rogue because I assumed everyone was going to ban Warrior, which meant you're banning a weapon class and bringing weapon destruction, as you mentioned, like the Tice scenario, I guess. So that's what maybe could have made Rogue just get that little bit of extra work done. But yeah, we'll see how this game plays out before we start judging too much. I do enjoy seeing the stats at the end of the weekend, just to see how everything actually did end up working. But Wise, going for that raised dead, the high value raised dead actually, with a Volpera and the Madame Lazul, of course.
It's all soul mirrors all the way down. Yeah, just loop it.
Just loop it. Like, oh no. Well, I can play Raised Dead too.
Yeah. I guess technically he can loop it too, right? Sethic Veilweaver, cast a spell, raise dead. Sethic Veilweaver, cast a spell, raise dead.
The funny thing here is, the more Blyze is doing this, the further his hand is getting. So...
Ah, unlucky. The loop has died.
Fired up.
Again, both players are kind of vying for that board control, but honestly, what we've learned over the course of this weekend is the board control is okay. It doesn't consistently win or translate to winning games, right? It just seems like a way to just progress to the late game and maybe pull out some extra resources from your opponent that they'd otherwise like to keep in hand.
Right.
Triple Soul Mirror in Blyze's hand. Double in Felkeine. These are legendary cards.
I'm telling you, dude, you never skip a Soul Mirror. They're too nutty. Too strong.
You never skip Soul Mirror Day. Is that the phrase?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what they say, right?
Winds of the south, come to my aid.
I do wonder about this one here. How much of a priority is killing this 3-5 than just making a... Oh, okay, this is kind of what I was leading to.
You see?
And making just a Wind Fury. We see Felkeine actually go best of both worlds. Like, do you like this?
I do like this, yeah. It was literally what I was just about to suggest. And just like it's very rare that this kind of situation, your minion will die to damage. So the loss of a Divine Shield doesn't really change anything. Like, you're going to get Shadow of Death, or you're going to get it stolen, or you're going to get something bad happening to your minion. It's very rarely just going to have damage pointed at it until it dies, right? So I think Wind Fury kill the minion is the best combination. That means if Shadow of Death or Shadow of Ruin or whatever else has to be the answer to it, you are still taking care of the minion first. So yeah, I think that is the best balance for sure.
Well, speaking of steals, this looks like a good one here for Felkeine. Lost the Tiamat, but now he can just get Skeletal Dragon.
You've got me fired up.
This is a huge board, and also, without a very certain answer, pretty resilient to Soul Mirror. It obviously makes a Soul Mirror to a certain extent for Blyze, like a decent one, but Felkeine doesn't really lose out on his board either.
The Murazon does give options as well. The fact that there is a Wave of Apathy, which has a straight up 50-50 right now to steal it right back. It will also create a Cabal, which he can then follow up with a spell of his own. In fact, the Wave of Apathy of his own. So he could potentially swing this board state right back without having to use a Soul Mirror. But, counterpoint, he does have 3 of them.
He can't hold all of these Soul Mirrors for much longer.
Do you like to play with fire?
Oh, no, no, no. It begins. It begins, Raven.
Right. This is going to be a little bit weird, though, because of the chronos, right?
Yeah, we saw this once already today.
So, can he ever...
I wonder.
You can't really survive through this, right? Is this just effectively a board wipe at this point, if he presses Soul Mirror?
Well, I think the solution is that you just don't do any of that nonsense. Yeah, you just do this.
Right,
you take
right.
the small loss with the Chrono Breaker on the other side, but you still get to preserve your Skeletal Dragon, and you can just potentially redevelop. Hand size is a real issue right now, so I think the only develop Felkeine can have is Nidhogg.
It is kind of what I was aiming towards, right? If Soul Mirror doesn't really... If all it does is wipe the board, then surely it can't be the play, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just not good enough considering Felkeine was, you know, air quotes, winning the game.
He has to throw a card away here, yeah? Yeah, Radiance.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Too bad. Now, Blyze is on 16. There is a Soul Mirror, but again, would leave the Skeletal Dragon up if he has something else to cover it.
I think, amusingly, Felkeine saw 0 Soul Mirrors on his Lazul Scout. So he doesn't necessarily know they were there coming out.
And just a small little laugh there from Felkeine. He's like, yep, Soul Mirrors, let's go. Seems to be the order of the day is Soul Mirror Wars right now. Sounds like a great title for a trilogy of books. The Soul Mirror Wars.
Yeah, currently, I think Felkeine is a long way ahead in the Soul Mirror Wars, though, because he is pushing with a little bit more initiative each time. He does currently have 2 Soul Mirrors, 2 Mirrors in his hand, so technically 4 Soul Mirrors, if you want to take it to that point. And because we're dealing with kind of a unique Nidhogg dynamic, he gets to deal with the eggs preemptively, whereas Blyze didn't. Kind of a big deal as well.
Right. I was even looking at how good just Breath of the Infinite and push 4 to face and use the 2 rushes to kill off the eggs.
Sure.
We did go for trading them off instead. Is he saving the Breath of the Infinite for a Soul Mirror combo? If the numbers add up. It is one of the cards that helps, right?
He might be. The other issue is that he kind of needs board space here.
Sure, if he's going for the Mirror Zone.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily sure he needs this much, but he gets another Kaj as well on top of this, right? Because the Kaj was played in the same turn, I think? Yeah, okay.
Would you like more dragons, sir?
Yeah, this game's nonsense, isn't it?
And look, who would have thought? It's the Soul Mirror Wars. Book 5. They should have ended it at 3.
Yeah, they always take it too far, don't they?
Yeah.
Should take a lesson from British TV. 2 series, boom, out of there.
Yeah, that's it. Just wait till the live adaptation gets released in 2 years' time.
Yeah. See the smile on Felkeine's face right now? That should just about explain to you what's going on in this game.
Oh, look.
Yeah, Soul Mirror. Yeah, Soul Mirror. Yeah.
There's an extra Alex as well, though.
Ooh.
Zephyrus is burnt. That one hurts.
It does hurt. We can pretend it's not just Murozond. It is just Murozond. That's the play.
Somewhere, Brian Kibler is loving life right now because all there are in this game are dragons.
Yep. It's just dragons all the way down.
Yes. That's fair.
Yeah, that seems like a reasonable exchange.
Look at Felkeine, he's just loving it, isn't he? I think at this point it is where you either cry or laugh. And Felkaine's definitely choosing to laugh. Look at him, he's just loving it. Honestly, I'm going to start writing this series of books. I think it's got legs. The theme of the book is going to be two completely equally matched armies just clashing against each other for eternity. There you go. There'll be a wizard called Zephyrus in it that makes the difference.
That's a pretty cool concept, actually. Yeah.
So,
what if your society thought that all source of the source of all energy in the world was like the kinetic energy that comes off an endless war between two completely equally matched armies?
We should definitely work together on this. I think we might get some fans.
Okay.
Fun fact: I have started writing a book in the past. I just never ended it.
Really? I bet it was garbage.
Oh, well, what is for sure, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now there's Waxadreads on both sides. Why not? Well, is this a good opportunity as ever to Plague? It is a bit of a unique circumstance. It lies on a very low health, but it does just completely negate the Waxadread issue. Or is Waxadread just not that much of an issue?
I mean, that is pretty interesting. He turned down Malipolly and took the Flame Strike instead, when, like you say, he could have just dealt with the Waxadread and just completely removed it from proceedings. Chose not to. So clearly, Blyze is not overly concerned about a bit of repetitive value from a Waxadread, as long as he potentially has one as well, which he does.
I wonder.
One thing's for sure. Right now, Nazari is the worst card in Felkeine's hand.
Yeah.
He does not really want to reset Blyze to full health.
Well, here's the problem, right? Normal circumstances. If you were playing Hearthstone 1.0, you could just say, alright, unlucky. I got the worst possible dragon from Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. I'll just never play it this game. This is Hearthstone 2.0, which means anything that is yours could also be your opponent's. So if you hold it in your hand, and then you get mind rendered, that's worse, because not only does Blyze then fully get all his health back, he also just gets your 412 for one man.
Right. And now, speaking of what's yours is mine.
What?
The big issue here is this Ysera could have been extremely impactful because of Ysera Awakens and Nightmare, which is a ton of burst damage that Priest does not normally have access to. Funnily enough, both the Ysera procs have been kind of trash, just generating more dragons, and now Felkeine's going to have another go. But honestly, if the one Nightmare, one Ysera Awakens, and this game, either way at this point, could end very quickly.
Well, that's the problem, right? Is that in a blink of an eye, the player who's threatening lethal has kind of flipped on its head right now, because suddenly Felkeine is just as low, and now Shadow Madness Zephyrus, you never count this! You never count this! This is Bloodlust lethal!
It just is. And that's going to be game. Blyze takes the Priest mirror, and although he started, this game at a 0-1 score, even though it's just equal now, him having Priest and his opponent not having Priest, I would say puts him actually further ahead in the series.
Alright, real talk for a second, Raven. That was actually pretty sick. that particular
I thought you were going to ask me about the book, but none.
No. That particular Priest mirror was actually pretty sick. I don't know if we've just reached the point of delirium, but I found that incredibly entertaining, as both players just played Soul Mirror and Murazond every single turn, as I've kind of been describing as something that happened, but perhaps not meant to be taken quite as literally as we saw in that particular version of the matchup. And then on top of that, not only was it Soul Mirror and Murazond every single turn, it was also burn the best card in your deck off the top every single turn as well from both sides. That was a pan out of the deck of the matchup that I really haven't seen too often. But yet again, just small things. But Blyze draws the Zephyrus off the top and instantly recognizes Shadow Madness Bloodlust. Instantly.
Yeah, I mean, See what happens, Priests? When you just play minions, you get minions on board and fight. like good old-fashioned Hearthstone. You don't do this. Okay, they did the shenanigans with the soul mirrors, but it was soul mirrors with minions sticking. That's what I want to see if we're going to see a ton of soul mirrors, not just soul mirrors to clear the board. They're boring. But
agreed.
What isn't going to be boring is this matchup. I do think this one is one of the more interesting ones, with Felkeine really having to make something happen. We saw it, flipped on its head in game one, where it was xBlyzes on the Mage and Felkeine on the Priest. And Felkeine was able to just stabilize, honestly, whereas it was always on xBlyzes to do the big thing, right? To actually break Priest.
Mm-hmm. And Raven, I spy with my little eye something beginning with Z.
Zebra.
No.
Okay, it is Zephyrus. And now
it is Zephyrus,
there's the wild growth. So not only does Felkeine have to make something big happen in this game, he has to do it while xBlyzes is just going to have more mana than him, which is very, very difficult indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he just has the board right now.
And the Ray's dead.
But let's look at Felkeine's hand. Double Apprentice, Cyclone, Evocation, Ray of Frosts. Like, he's getting there. In 2 turns' time, we might see one large turn.
We may. We may just see one right now. I'm kind of into this, honestly. Like, there really isn't enough hand space or time to be waiting to do all of this together. I do kind of like the idea of something now, especially when the rest of his hand is really tempo-based as well, right? Just curve out, Wormweaver, Raz, Like, he can actually just play minions and put pressure on because he's got a really tempo-based hand.
Your wish is my suggestion.
I'm very much enjoying Felkeine's response.
Cleave?
Seems fine. This Wormweaver does open up some potential, right? Because there's not just an answer to 2 mana worms on the board. You would imagine, like, once Felkeine sets them up, there's not just a Dustbreaker or whatever, right, for xBlyzes to just drop down.
Sure, yeah.
So there is a chance he might have to just... This Wormweaver's going to have some level of impact here. Obviously, there are a lot of cards that xBlyzes could get that negate some of this, but just to say a Breath of the Infinite doesn't cut it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that in principle. The problem is that xBlyzes is ramped here, so, like, by the time Wormweaver comes into play, it can get answered by, like, Tiamat, for example, which kind of seems significantly more powerful in the situation. Yeah. But under normal circumstances, yeah, I can certainly see it being pretty strong in the Priest matchup.
Yeah, that's the issue, though, right? Because normally a weakness of Priest is not only the card draw, but its best removal tools being a little bit slow, right? Or low power. Like 4 mana for Holy Nova is only deal 2, which is a lot of mana to spend when there are so many minions by that point that may be higher than 2 health. This is huge as well. Yeah, Felkeine probably just wants to get out of this game at this point. But because of the ramp from Zephyrus, you kind of negate that, right? You have access to everything just that much quicker.
Yes! This is the best timeline! Just please don't kill the Raz. I'm just here for just Mally Raz deal damage to the face. I've never seen it happen. I've tried to troll my opponent with it on numerous occasions and it never worked.
There's a Frostbolt and there is, I think that's a Polymorph.
No! You never
play
do
around
it,
counter
right?
spell as well, right?
You never do
Don't
it.
play a spell, just use Raz as you damage.
Yep. You never clear the Raz here.
What to do? What to do?
Imagine killing this Raz. I want you to close your eyes and imagine it. Doesn't that feel terrible?
He didn't kill Raz, he's going to kill a sheep.
Damn it.
You could just see Felkeine's mindset in this game, at least with what's been happening, is just, oh, well, that helps. It's like, what is he supposed to do? Is his attitude now? And at least he's laughing about it, but it is just going from bad to worse. He does have double mana giant. And there are things if he draws exactly conjures into something. I'm not sure, but but cards are in his hand. Frost Nova, not a bad start.
Yeah, Conjurer's calling like all the hulking overfiends in the world. Yeah, sure, maybe he has a chance.
The problem is he is just about to run straight into a plague. You know, if something big happens, I mean.
That doesn't even get a reaction out of Felkeine. That's light as far as things are concerned so far this series.
Yeah.
So yeah, Twin Tyrant perfectly clear my board. All right, fine, no big deal.
Those are rookie dragons in this racket, so...
Yep. Swing turn is here, though.
Hungry for more.
Wormweaver, Frost Nova, Giant. What you got?
But this is the problem, right? Like, even though Blyze has an incredible board, he can just press Plague and win the game. And that's the biggest issue right now.
Alternatively, just Wave of Apathy and say my board is also massive. What are you going to do about it?
Probably worried about Conjur's Calling, right?
But then he can still Plague, right? And then he also gets to play Conjurer's Calling as well as the board that he already is plaguing.
That might make the game last a turn longer, so if he just Plagues now.
Yeah, fair enough.
Magic Trick, Ray of Frost is a couple of activations here for a Mana Cyclone. Can he actually play Ping, Arcane
Yes, he
Missile,
can.
and still play Cyclone? Yeah.
Yep.
So again...
Yeah, I mean, I do totally respect the line just to fire off Plague there, because that was kind of all of Felkaine's stuff in one go, right?
Exactly.
You just kind of know that's if you kill all that stuff, it's really just this second Cyclone that you have left to deal with, and that's kind of game over. Well, you can make a nice Christmas tree at least.
Not even that good, it's only 3.
Yeah, it is.
There's only one colour of the lights, that's boring. What colours do you go for on your Christmas tree?
Like light colors or like decoration
generals?
colors?
Do you have a theme? Do you go like red, silver, gold,
It's
whatever?
my wife hates gold, so it's generally like silver, and we pick one other color to do. Generally, something like that.
Mix it up every year.
Yeah.
A simple spell should do.
Yeah, Bly's just making... All he has to do is make sure nothing ludicrous happens, right? Like, what's the worst thing that could happen with Evocation? There isn't even a Prime shuffled in for Felkeine, right? He hasn't played one. He hasn't played Solarian yet. So
Correct.
There's no real fear factor of a Prime working wonders as it has done for Bly's today. So he just has to be safe, honestly. And it's a weird word to use in Hearthstone as safe, because there's always a best play. But the point is, he just has to make sure Felkeine doesn't really... or has the lowest chance of going nuts. Call of Cold does delay. The secret for Lies to think about. Imagine him baiting the Vaporize to reduce some damage down from Malagos.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just the quickest attacking anyway.
imagine getting baited.
I am beyond imagination.
Exactly, he is beyond imagination.
Oh, this is funnier than it should be. Yeah, it's just...
Well, just other decks getting battered by priests. You're finding that amusing right now?
At this point in the day, yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I am. It's not often you see a Malagos into a Vape and just know it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, Blyze just didn't even blink. So, man, that's fine. I had a Malagos to spare anyway. It's a tester for the Mirror Entity.
This world
Okay.
The game is going to continue, isn't it? Which does
Yep.
surprise me.
Suddenly, little by little, Felkeine is clawing himself up a foothold back onto this board state.
You might actually just need to save this Conjurers for the Solarian, right?
Sure.
Is that the extent? Is that make sure it gets shuffled in and then try and draw it? He is only on 8 cards next draw.
Maybe.
Literally cannot keep up with the animations here of
No, it's
Blyze
absurd,
making
isn't it? It's actually absurd.
The best part is, like, you can play this fast, just at home, whatever. Generally, I'm sure everyone has misclicked though, right? And just like targeted, press the wrong minion, let go of the mouse at the wrong time, whatever. So there are risks of literally just spamming that fast. But Blyze not made any errors yet that I recall.
Forbidden words. Going to end this one.
Yeah, we go.
Blyze is going to go 2 games to 1 up now, and yeah, I think Felkeine's reaction just about says it all in that position. Not really an awful lot he could have done in that scenario. And that is the face of a man. It's another day at the office for Blyze. This is what he does.
It is, and however much people might think we're overhyping Blyze, we can't argue with the results. Not only did he go top 8 back-to-back, he won last week, and he looks like he's on form to actually get into top 4 this week. And then if he does that, then yeah, who knows? If he wins back-to-back GM opening weeks, then is this just going to be the way he wins things, just in 2s? What's he going to win next? Because he's probably going to win the one after it as well. So you can put that in your calendar, because that seems to be just the way he's going here. Felkeine does just have his Druid left over, though, to try and claw back some wins. But there are pretty straightforward reasons as to why neither of them have chosen to queue Druid purposely into Priest if they've had any other option. Not the best matchup.
No, particularly when Highlander Priest comes into play. Like, it's fine. It's not like a scoop matchup or anything. Like, you can just ramp and get them. That does happen. But I think Highlander Priest in particular, when you factor in the Zephyrus, when you factor in the fact that there are a few more early removal tools, and when you factor in the fact that there are a few tempo options available through the addition of Zephyrus and so on early on, like, I think this matchup is a bit more of a problem, but it's certainly winnable. This series is absolutely not over from Felkeine's perspective just yet. Yeah. He is going to need some of that ramp, though.
I was just going to say, some of the cards he's not really after, such as Survival of the Fittest in his opening hand, even the Lake Thresher, but he does have a little bit of time to draw that ramp, but you're right, it does have to come soon.
Yeah, that ain't the kind of ramp I'm talking about. Gonna need more of it. Scratch his neck. You all got any more of that ramp?
The future is clear. Your demise be near.
Well, it's not guardian animals.
No. I was trying to work out if he's ever confident of coining out Lake Thresher, potentially.
Yeah, I think I do like Ironbark, though.
Yeah, I think it's overall the better card, right? I was just wondering if there's any thought plan to go Lake Thresher and then Apotheosis.
You've got me.
That's a combo.
Up.
Animated Broomstick can help.
It can, but this is a pretty honest game for Felkeine up until this point. Which sounds bizarre to say as he's about to play his 7-drop on 5 mana, but in the grand scheme of what Druid is able to do, this is a pretty honest game so far.
Also a little bit frustrating for him, no doubt, that he has to put these double trades into the hothead there, as opposed to just clearing the whole board. He knows one of them is guaranteed dead, and now he's not even just got the key removal, the Carge too. Gonna get Blyze a Twilight Runner. Means Priest gets some card draw, Sol.
Yeah, huge. Generally, it's the big kicker in like how you're going to beat Priest in slow matchups is that generally, Druid can play all 30 of its cards in the time that Priest plays 15 to 20 of theirs, and that's how you win. Because if you line up every single card against every single card, Priest pretty much beats everything.
Right.
So, by that metric, finding some way to create some card draw that you don't really have in your deck becomes monumentally important from the Priest side of things.
Wow. Even the guardian animals just for one to have something to potentially take down this card with. Still going to be a little bit rough.
I'm just going to ignore it.
I like it because although it's just giving him the heal, it means xBlyzes doesn't get the draw straight away, right? From the Twilight Runner, but this also means xBlyzes can just say, sweet, I just stick a massive minion with Apotheosis now. Seems good.
Yep. Yeah, xBlyzes says, sorry, buddy. I know you intend to ignore this, but you absolutely do not have the option to. Ironbark, Apotheosis. What a combination. Does this read like a pretty clear survival of the fittest setup to you, Raven?
Yeah, there's got to be limited reasons why you would ramp into exactly 10, right? Because if you were close enough, you'd probably want to hold on for the card draw from the wild growth, so I think it's pretty fair.
Ooh, Emperor Cobra off the drop. Not sure what's worse potentially between that and a taunt minion. But I guess actually, no, sorry. I thought I was factoring in him having one attack left, which he absolutely doesn't. So yeah, it's not, the taunt minion wouldn't have been relevant at all. I mean, they're the same minion. They copied each other. What else do you expect?
That's exactly how the game works.
Yeah.
Only one big cleave attack, and that owl is oh yeah, no, sorry, he will trade this way, of course. I was going to say the owl was very well positioned there for Felkeine, but he does want to get rid of the slight, believe it or not, more threatening minion of the Twilight Runner than the 2/3 poison.
Yeah, 100%. I talked about how important the card draw is. That goes to show it. It's why I kind of asked the leading question of, like, does this smell like a survival of the setup for you? Because if it did, xBlyzes had some things that he could have done, which he didn't really set up particularly well for it there. Like, if that happened, he was going to lose his Twilight Runner. However, I was going to follow that up, but however, a xBlyzes game progresses far quicker than I can get my points in, is that maybe xBlyzes doesn't care too much if survival of the fittest happens, because he always has the ability to just Murazond it straight back.
Yeah, and also the survival of the fittest, if it was played, was on a very meager board, right? I think that's key as well. It wasn't a board full of dragons where he would have just been dead to survival of the fittest. It was a board that, worst case, he falls a little bit behind, but then can recover, even if he had to plague. But yeah, this is, yep. Felkeine, maybe with the correct responses, saying, okay, well, this isn't fair. Why does he get big minions as well? He's not playing Druid. Wait, we told you before. Priest is every class.
He's just gonna Lake Thresher this? Interesting. I was wondering whether the situation was desperate enough to go Overflow and then broom your dragons that you potentially get.
Look at this positioning, though, where suddenly killing the low minion that's in the middle of two big minions does not seem that cool, but it's still correct because all the other target choices are horrible.
Positioning's sick, right?
No, that's what I mean. Like, look how good it is, because normally the 2/3 does you a favor with a Thresher, right? Because you hit the low minion, deal the most damage to the big guys either side. But it's poison, so it's going to die anyway. And then the Pyro on the left is a arguably fine trade, but then it only hits one minion instead of two. It was perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Nature speaks through us.
Even this Aeon Reaver is just great, isn't it? Because with these buffs, you can just kill a minion almost regardless.
Penance is nutty. Wait, no? Oh, I see. He's just going to use the Aeon Reaver right now instead. Yeah. Okay, interesting.
And I think I like this because... Sorry, just looking at Felkeine's camera. I think I like this because what xBlyzes is planning for is like an insane dragon, an insane one buffed minion that he can just say, nope, this doesn't exist anymore. Job done, and just steal it as a worst case single target removal, which is something he didn't necessarily have, because the Aeon Reaver, although great, there are a lot of dragons that have higher health than attack, right? So then suddenly the Aeon Reaver's not quite good enough, whereas Mind Control will always steal the minion regardless of its stats. So now he has the big AoE removal if tons of dragons and big minions come out with the Plague, and then he has the, he's made one huge guy, okay, Mind Control if I want to win quicker. He has the Galakron backup as well. I think Wise is just 100% covering every possible base here.
Yeah, I will say that the cadence of these dragons is coming out just about right for Felkeine right now. You know, 2 or 3 big boys at a time. That's what's going to be difficult for Blyze to deal with. So if you have 2 or 3 big boys at a time, you can't really Plague of Death, because then you don't have Plague of Death anymore, and there's like 5 more dragons in the deck, plus Kael'thas and all the other threats. And the single target removals like Mind Control and Aeon Reaver they only address 1/3 of the board state. So if his deck does keep filtering out little by little as it is at the moment, he might just have a shot here.
I'm going to go fishing for some removal. Shadow of Death looks fantastic as a pickup, but also he does still have the Cabal, Acolyte, and the Wave of Apathy too.
Yeah.
So he does have this steal now, so he can get rid and at least take something. Let's not forget, guys, Blyze has the Survival of the Fittest buff active, so his Acolyte is no small fry.
His minions are, in fact, giant, yes. There's one more, and it's big. There's 2 more.
Oh, mate, he needs...
and it's big.
Is this actually Survival of the Fittest Bloom Broom? He needs it. He needs to clear this board.
Yes. Yeah,
He's just going to die.
Yep. Agreed.
Obviously with KT there, if you want to, go off with everything, but the important part is this second Broom was needed to just realistically survive this game.
Yeah. This card draw is spooky, though. Any more than this, and we might be just approaching too much territory.
That's it. Go on.
Well, I was going to say, Felkeine doesn't really have that luxury, right? Does he feel like he can win this game of Hearthstone by spacing everything out and playing around all the perfect removals? Or does he feel like this is his window? This turn, I go in, you don't have Plague of Death, you die. I think that's a pretty accurate assessment from Felkeine's position. Just to say, this is my turn. I'm just going all in. If there's no clear, I win the game.
100% agree. That's what you have to do. We can see the Plagues there, and it's been there for a while. But Felkeine has to hope, right? He's running out of cards. There aren't other options, are there? Like, if he tries to play slowly, he doesn't do anything and dies. So, although this is going to be quite upsetting for him to see this Plague, I think 100% this is the correct play for Felkeine to just go all in, see what needs to be done. But he played the Shadowed Rune off the top, which... If that's not a tilter at this point in the game for Felkeine, I do not know what is.
Yeah, I mean, that's just game. The fact he got to preserve the Plague of Death as well, like, that's just game at this point. 2 more Dream Portals are the last 2 remaining cards. They're both coming out to play right now. Blyze can probably just mind control the bigger one if there's a decent discrepancy between the size of the 2 minions. And then that's just game over, yeah. Yeah, you just mind control the Death Rattle one, game's over.
Yep. It's just not enough at that point. Felkeine, not feeling great about this series, the way some of the things have gone, but I think Felkeine has played fine this series. So it's just one of those ones where sometimes, or maybe it is just the issue of Priest just being Priest right now, and it is incredibly difficult to take wins with. Or against, sorry.
That is a desk slapper, it looks like, from Felkeine. He's been in good spirits so far, but I think it did eventually reach the point of frustration, and you can certainly empathize with it. We've all been there. We just play random ladder games, and sometimes we get tilted and smack our desk at losing to Priest. He's playing at the highest possible level, and he's been on an emotional roller coaster today as well.
Right.
Like from the lows of his opening series, where he kind of let himself down a little bit, to the recovery, the really, really smooth performance then in the follow-up game. And then you just kind of get hit with that series, which, I'm fascinated by Blyze, like genuinely, because there's a language barrier between us. Obviously, he speaks pretty good English, but I don't know like how much of this I could get out of him, or how much he'd even be willing to talk about. Is like how aware he is of the way he plays and the way he is and the aura that's being created around him. That has an effect on people. It definitely does. You can see it happening. And the fact that everyone looks on and thinks that Blyze is like this filthy high roller who just nuts every single game, I think that impression is accentuated by A, how smooth and effortless and easy he makes every game look, and B, how much he wins. When you put all those things together, if you make the game look easy and you win all the time, people are going to think you're just high rolling. Whereas in reality, I think Blyze is just playing really well most of the time. Like it's pretty darn interesting to me, honestly.
Yeah, and I imagine it is a source of frustration from even the highest level players, right? This could just be a hot streak for Blyze. It happens. Some players just have these runs. But honestly, it is frustrating when you just lay that out to say it's annoying when if you watch someone do so well and it looks so easy and that doesn't happen for you, right? And that's just annoying no matter what the thing is, never mind when it's high stakes Hearthstone. So it is going to be interesting to follow that, but we are going to be catching up to tomorrow here with these 4 players, RDU versus Blyze, which is a rematch of the finals of last week. So that means only one of them is going to play in the finals this week, and then we have Bunny Hopper versus Yala. So definitely be excited for that one, but maybe bring a pillow and get comfortable, because that will not be the fastest game in the world based on these 2 players' historic play patterns. But overall, a very exciting top 4 once again, Sottle, and honestly, just the 4 best players we've had so far this season based on results, just in the top 4 again.
Exactly what I was going to say. Like the consistency and repetition in results is astounding from what we've seen from Bunny, from Yala, from RDU, from Blyze. But yeah, I echo your point. Tomorrow should be sick, but it's going to be a very kind of different up and downy kind of day, because the match on the left there of your graphic, 20 minutes. Match on the right, 2 hours. Like that's probably what it's going to come down to at that point. And then the final will meet them somewhere in the middle. But yeah, I mean, 4 amazing players who are just consistently winning games of Hearthstone right now. Like that's what we come to see. So, bring on tomorrow. Let's go.
Yeah, plenty of great action to come up tomorrow in the European region. Also, of course, before us, Derek and Gio will be on with the final day of APAC Week 2. But maybe most importantly, we have TJ and Frodan coming up right now for the Americas Day number 2 as well. So again, thanks a lot for watching. We appreciate it. We hope you had a great time. And Salt and myself will see you tomorrow. Have a good night.